So, Donald J. Trump is the 47th President of the United States. As you might imagine, I'm quite happy with the result. I'm very surprised as well that we actually get a result on the night of the election. I was reading from the New York Times coverage about it. I would try to take the black pill, honestly, on it. I usually don't bother with this website. But for example, in Arizona, right, they said most voters cast ballots by mail and counting typically takes days. Officials in Maricopa County said full tabulation could take 10 to 13 days. And it's the same, you know, you had Nevada, counting usually takes days. Postmarked ballots are allowed to arrive up to 4 days after the election on November 9th, and so on. They actually tried to prepare you for a repeat of 2020, where basically you have like 80-90% of the basically all the countries except all the states except the swing states are in by election night, and then the swing states take about a week more. And even though on election night they're like 80-90% counted, and in that week suddenly from a Trump lead it becomes a Democrat lead. That's sort of what they prepared you for. And this time I suppose the margins were just too high and they couldn't gather enough votes. There weren't enough votes left that weren't cast for them to put it logically, allow to keep the results out. So Trump wins the White House. The Republicans win the Senate. We'll see about the House. That's not in yet when I'm making this video. Well, that was exceedingly surprising. You can see people from all over the world in the comment sections as well talking about how happy they are because America really sets the tone, and this is a very strong tailwind to try and take our countries back from the same globalist left-wing movement that has been gripping them and trying to institutionalize its own values. This is definitely one of the best news we've had in quite a long while, and it's also going to be an example of how your country could change for the better if you elect populists. If Trump manages to improve the economy, solve the migration problem, and just make life easier and better for people in America, this will give credibility to people trying to push for the same values and the same policies all over the world. I'm not sure how much of that we'll see in my home country of Israel. We have a right-wing coalition right now, but I've never really felt that they were, for low taxes, small government, or anything of the sort. It's mostly along like more patriotic versus internationalist lines, I guess, and religious versus non-religious. Although our religious people are not all the same as, in America. We have sort of very tribal groups. Some of them decide not to work and basically live off taxpayer money, or refuse to participate in the military, even though, everyone else has to. At 18, spent 3 years in the army. And that's why they're not very popular. People feel as though it's unfair. But that's beside the point. Pretty much every major party in our government, we have a coalition government. We have a lot of small parties that is right-wing and religious. Congratulated Trump, and many even said God bless America, because the different country, perhaps a different faith, but still very much brothers in arms as far as we are concerned. I'm happy about that. Credit where credit is due. I have a lot of criticism for my government, but not today. Today they did good. On the other hand, it's very telling that the opposition remained completely silent, because they were very much on the side of the Democrats. As bad as the current government is, at least they're not the direct subordinates of the globalist elite. So that's one thing that you can say for them. Incidentally, Trump won by quite a large margin, it would seem. The countries the states that aren't yet in are, for example, Michigan. Trump seems to have 2% advantage with about 95% of the votes in. Arizona, Trump seems to have a, what's that, 5% lead? 63% of the votes in. This could change. Nevada, 86% of the votes in with 4% advantage for Trump. That's great. Maine is going to be Kamala Harris. That seems very obvious. But, oh, and of course, Alaska. That's going to be a very obvious Trump win. I don't think it's possible to turn it around. So, over 300 electoral college votes for Trump seems reasonable. The forecast from New York Times is 312 possible. That's a huge win. With the Senate, the popular vote, over 300 electorates potentially. Trump is going to have a great mandate to rule. If the House is his as well, he will basically be able to pass anything so long as neocons don't block him, which happened last time around. So we'll have to wait and see. This is a huge fortuitous event for us, honestly. I can't help but put my trust in someone who was almost shot, basically got his ear hit because he moved his head at the last moment. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here with us, and still kept fighting. His immediate response was to get up and keep fighting. And this is someone who's not a shill. This is someone who truly believes in what he's doing. And it's heartening, honestly. I wish we had that caliber of leadership in my country. And I hear the same sentiments from others as well. If you listened to the Lotus Eaters podcast for the elections, they were very much, how did they put it? Living vicariously through their American cousins. And I can see why. Obviously, they have a dearth of good leadership in their country. People had high expectations of Nigel Farage. And he somehow, how to put it, whiffed. He just didn't. He just tried very hard to cater to the centrists somehow, eschewing the populist support that he had, and people are disappointed. I suppose he can still, turn it around. Perhaps Trump can show him the way. And how to put it? Direct him to the proper course to make Britain great again too, because they really need it. I mean, as much as I complain about my government, we still have it very good compared to them, honestly. It's really sad. It's just, as much as I try to find the humor in it, seeing the state of countries that failed to overturn globalist leadership is heartbreaking. It's just, these are all the countries that, I grew up thinking of as like fellow Western nations, like part of the whole Western Judeo-Christian values bloc, the people who were free and believed in freedom of speech and human rights, and the good guys, And then to see them reduced to this, it's just constant, like, self-shaming and self-flagellating. It's disheartening. Hopefully, with Trump elected, we can turn it all around and return to having faith in the rightness of our cause, in our own values, in our own people, stop with this self-flagellation and start trying to make the world a better place for everyone, but our people first. Because that's, there's a saying in Hebrew, basically, that the poor people in your city come first. Like, before you go out to heal the world and correct all the wrongs, start with your local community. And I firmly believe that this is the way to go. I think that instead of trying to save all the world's poors and correct all the world's ills, we should first try and put our own houses in order, which is Trump's rallying cry, Make America Great Again, because he's the leader of America. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough for today. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.